All right, so for 11, 12, and 13, we need to identify the function family. So that's the first step. So this is a linear function. Number 12 is a quadratic function. If it's a U shape, it's quadratic. And for number 13, this is an absolute value function. If it's a V shape, it's absolute value. Next, we have to figure out the actual equation. So for the linear function, we need to find the slope and we need to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is here at -1. The slope is up 1 and over 2. So up 1 over 2, that's rise, that's run, that's the slope. Since the equation is y equals mx plus b, then y equals 1/2 x minus 1. B is the y-intercept. For number 12, we have a quadratic function, and the vertex is at -1, 0. This is your hk. And since it has to be in f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k form, then the h being -1 makes it x plus 1 squared. Since I don't have a k value, I don't write it in. The a value comes from looking to see, as you go over 1, how many do I go up? And I'm going up 2 units. That's twice as much as what I should go, which means that the a value is 2. The second one, if I went over 2 units, I should be going up 4, but instead I'm going up 8. So again, it's twice the 4 and it's twice the 1 that I normally did. All you really have to check is the first one that gives you the a value. It is going up, so that's positive. So this is your equation. You can use f of x or you can use y. So y is equal to 2 times x plus 1 squared. There's no k value. Please don't put plus 0. For number 13, it's an absolute value. Again, in this case, f of x is a times x minus h. That's not in parentheses, it's an absolute value. In this case, the hk is 1, 3. That's the vertex. So this is going to be x minus 1 plus 3. The a value is down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. So -1 over 1. That's like a slope. So that's a -1 value. When it's a -1, we just put a minus sign there instead of a -1. So y is equal to, basically it's an upside down absolute value, x minus 1 and then plus 3. It's not stretched out at all. For number 14 and 15, we need to write an equation of the line. That's first. And then interpret what the slope represents. Okay? So don't worry about the y-intercept. So when we write the equation of this line, I know that the y-intercept is 0. That's the starting point. That's your initial value. Where here, the y-intercept is 50. So that's the initial starting point. That's the initial balance, or initial price of the shoes, excuse me. Okay? This is the price of shoes. So for this one, the initial balance in the bank account is $0. And then it rises, it goes up. And so the slope is going to tell us how much it rises. So I'm going to use these 2 points here. So the amount that it goes up is from 400 up to 600. Okay, so that's the up value. That's $200 up. Okay, and that's in dollars. The right and left value, how much it goes to the right, goes from basically 2 to 3, and that's in weeks. So it goes over 1, and that's in weeks. So the slope is 200 over 1, which is 200 basically. My equation then would be y is equal to 200x and then plus 0, which we're not going to write the plus 0. The interpreting of the slope means that the balance goes up 200, okay, every week for the part. So the balance increases $200 each week. And you need to put units for both the top number, which is dollars, and the bottom number, which is weeks, and it's has to do with the balance. For the second one, we have y-intercept of 50. The slope in this case is going to be negative, and so from this point to this point, it gives you the right and left first. So that goes from 0 to 20. So that's the, remember, we have rise and we have run. So we have 20, okay? And then the downward part is 10 units. So that's $10 for shoes, the price of shoes. And we have 20% in discount, okay? Because that's this discount. This is the price in shoes. So if I reduce that, that means that my slope is equal to 1/2. Okay, so my equation is 1/2 x plus 50. And actually it's negative 1/2 x because this is sloping downward. Okay, now what does this mean if I reduce this? If I reduce that rise over run, negative 1 over 2, this is the price of shoes for the y. And this is the percent of discount. So when I write that out, the price of shoes goes down $1 for every 2% of discount. Okay, and again, this price of shoes, this percent of discount. Okay, percent of discount, price of shoes. For the next part, we're trying to solve for x and y, so we need to cancel one of the equations out. So in number 16, I'm going to multiply the top equation by -3. We don't need to label these a, b, and c for the two variable equations. They're fairly easy to keep track of. So -3x minus 9y equals -3. The bottom equation, I leave that one alone, plus 7y equals 1. Add these two together, -2y equals -2. Y is equal to 1. Then I'm going to plug that into either one of these equations. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So 3x plus 7 times 1 is 7. Subtract the 7 over to the other side. That gives me a -6. X equals -2. Write your equation, or excuse me, your answer as an ordered pair. For number 17, if I want to cancel, I'm going to cancel the x. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3 and the bottom one by -2 so that the x's will cancel out. That gives me 6x plus 15y equals 42. The bottom equation gives me -6x plus 4y equals 72. If I add these together, I get 19y equals 114. Y is equal to 6. Since y is equal to 6, I'm going to go ahead and plug that in here. So that gives me 3x minus 12 is equal to -36. Add 12. 3x is equal to -24. Divide by 3, so x equals -8. So when you write your answer, this is -8 and 6. For number 18, I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 2. So I have 6x minus 2y equals 5. The bottom equation, negative 6x plus 2y equals 14. When I add these two equations together, I get 0 equals 19. That's a false statement. That means that these two lines are parallel lines and they have no points in common, so this is no solution. If this had been 0 equals 0, you would have a true statement, and in the answer column, you would put infinite solutions. For number 19, this is a 3-variable equation, so you need to provide some more work. The first thing, label your equations, A, B, and C. I'm going to go ahead and cancel the x variable since we've talked mostly about the x. So I'm going to multiply negative 2a and b. So negative 2a would be negative 2 times everything on the top, so negative 2x. Negative 2 times the second part, that makes it plus 4y. Negative 2 times that, minus 8z, and negative 2 times this one. For the b equation, you leave it as it is. So this gives me 5y minus 11z equals 52. And again, highlight that equation, please. Then I'm going to cancel x again. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 3, and the bottom equation, leave it alone. Whenever you have a variable that just is a single variable, like in this case in a, the x doesn't have a coefficient except for 1, you usually want to use that equation with the other two because it's easier. So negative 3 times the top equation gives me negative 3x plus 6y. Negative 3 times 4, that gives me negative 12z equals 57. The bottom one, 3x plus y plus 2z equals 5. So this gives me 7y minus 10z equals 62. Now I'm going to highlight that equation. And I want to then use the two highlighted equations in order to solve for y and z. I needed to cancel x twice, or whichever variable you chose, you had to cancel that twice. I'm going to multiply to get rid of the y variables. It seems easier, so I'm going to multiply this one by 7 and this one by negative 5 so that I can get rid of them by making one 35 and the other one negative 35. So this is going to give me 35y minus 77z equals 52 times 7, which is 364. Then I'm going to multiply this equation, write it underneath. So it's negative 35y plus 50z, and then 62 times 5. So that's 310. So this gives me negative 27z equals 54. So z is equal to negative 2 when you make that division. I'm going to plug in z equals negative 2 to one of the two highlighted equations. I'm going to choose this one. So I get 7y, negative 10 times negative 2. That gives me plus 20. Subtract 20. So 7y is equal to 42. Y is equal to 6. Once you have the z and the y variable, you can go back to the top to get the x variable. So I'm going to pick the top equation, the very top one. So I get x, and then it's minus 2y. So it's minus 2 times 6. So that gives me minus 12. And then 4 times z, since z is negative 2, then it's 4 times negative 2. That gives me minus 8 equals negative 19. If I combine these and then add 20 to both sides, you get x is equal to 1. So that's the final answer for x, y, and z, and you write them as an ordered triple. For the last equation of this practice quiz, the answers are 3, -1, and -4. I've already answered them. I did the work for it. It's in the screencast video before this to answer how to solve an equation with 3 variables. So that should help you out. Study for your quiz. That's it. That's the end.